Buyer Be Wise is generally a really good Disney cartoon, but I have to say the intro really annoyed me, and I'll discuss that in a moment. This is a 1982 Disney cartoon. We have Gary Owens narrating, and he's interacting with Goofy, who is voiced by Hal Smith. And the narrator is telling Goofy about, well, how to be a good buyer, what it means to spend money on luxury versus necessity, how to check for sales, to put money away for savings, and a lot of really good tips, some of which may not necessarily apply to younger viewers, but it's always good to get younger people starting to think about being sensible with money. But what really annoyed me is at the beginning it's describing a consumer, but it isn't. It's describing a customer. And there is a difference between a consumer and a customer. Sometimes the consumer is also the customer, but the customer is not always the consumer. And the description was just so annoying because they were describing a customer and they were just basically getting it wrong, and that really irritated me. But once we got past that, the rest of it was pretty good. Everything is narrated with the aid of various clips from many different Disney cartoons that came before this. We have a great mix of characters. A lot of them are, of course, Goofy, as we see Goofy doing things that match the narration, which I rather like. For example, when he talks about buying clothes, there's a clip of Goofy putting on a sweater, and it's very well edited, and everything flows really nicely. It's about 7 or 8 minutes. It packs a good amount of information in, and it can get children starting to think more sensibly about their finances and savings. It mentioned piggy banks and things, and savings accounts, so it can appeal to various children. I did think the one problem, aside from, getting the definition of consumer not 100% correct, is that it said, or kind of implied, that basically every child gets money and every child has an income, whether that's from pocket money or allowances or, money for doing chores. But there are a lot of children who don't get allowances, particularly if they're from families with not a lot of money. And I feel like it implied that that was the norm, and that might make some younger viewers feel a little bit, well, sad about their situation if they're not in that, if they're not in the situation where they can have an allowance. So I feel like it could have been a bit more mindful of maybe saying some children get the money rather than basically implying that every child gets money. But of course, if a child doesn't get money, it doesn't really apply to them, the cartoon as a whole. But again, it's always worth making people mindful about sensible spending at any age. Either way, once I got past the first couple of seconds of the incorrect definition, or inaccurate definition, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well put together, very well narrated, of course, and ultimately I enjoyed it and I do recommend it.